Hello and welcome back to Sisters Back. I'm your host, Ropa, and with me is my co-host, Carnation. We are so excited to bring you this today's topic. So I'm going to let Carnation usher us in and we can get started.
Yay. Season's greetings. Ladies, happy holidays, Merry Christmas. It's a few days away from Christmas. I don't know if you're like me, feeling a bit rushed, as though it's a surprise that Christmas is here, right? I find I always have this plan of how I'm going to do things, but it never turns out the way I planned. But anyway, here we are. Happy to be here. Happy to be healthy, and very excited to talk about today's topic. So today's topic is about goals. So setting goals and achieving them. And I guess the reason we want to talk about this topic is it's really easy to have a list of goals you want to achieve. Our mind can go in many places and it can build up this image of the goals that we want to achieve. But to actually attain those goals is a different beast altogether. So today we'd like to talk about goals, how to set them, as well as how to achieve them. So Ropa, what's been your experience with goal setting? Have you been successful? What has worked for you? What hasn't worked for you?
Well, there's a lot of things that have worked for me. There's a technique that I use in terms of goal setting that I stole from a friend of mine. So he's really good at setting goals, and we've been kind of doing that for a good number of years, because I've known him for a really long time, and so we look at the way that we set goals. So I know everybody kind of sets goals in terms of a single goal, right? Mm-hmm. Where you look at it and go like, oh, you know what? By this time next year, I would like to have a car. Mm-hmm. Right? And then you would set a goal to go like, okay, so how much do I need to get this car? And then how much do I need to put aside on a monthly to get to this goal of having a car, right? Then if you're a bit more intense with your goal setting, then you probably would look at the five different areas within your life that you would like to set goals in, right? So for me, the way I set goals, I don't want to get into it too much. I want to, give Carnation time to also kind of intervene. So the way I set goals is I look at what goals do I want to achieve physically, what goals do I want to achieve mentally, financially, socially, and spiritually. So those 5, I look at that, and then within those 5, then I break it down. Physically, what do I want my body to look like? What do I want my appearance to look like? Dress, makeup, how do I want to show up in the world? How do I want people to see me? Mm-hmm. How do I comport myself, or something like that? Is there something that I would like, physically, that I can achieve, but I am not there yet? Like, let's say maybe if I'm sitting down and I slouch, it's not good for me. So I need to practice, sitting up a little bit better without slouching. So what does that look like? How do I achieve that? So same goes for all the other ones. I can break it down, but I'll let you come in so that I'm not the only one talking at this point, but I can break down what I look at in all of these 5 sections of a person's life.
Okay. Oh, that's good. Actually, I never thought of setting goals based on like 5 dimensions. that's pretty good. Before I even go into, I guess what I wanted to talk about goals, it's interesting you mentioned setting a spiritual goal as well as a social goal. We have different beliefs as human beings, and I think that's the beauty of it. But we're more than just physical, mental, and emotional beings. We have a spiritual side, and whichever way you want to explore it, we all come from different belief systems. But we've also seen that in healthcare, because my background is in healthcare, that sometimes you can keep on attacking, say, a physical problem, but sometimes the issue might be emotional, it might be mental, it might be spiritual. So it's really, I think I'm really glad you brought that aspect, that you also need to set a spiritual goal. And sometimes, a spiritual goal might just be mindfulness, saying, okay, by a certain time, I turn off my devices, and during that time, I'm just reflecting, or taking a walk, or anything, right? And also, I like the social one. I'm glad you brought that in. I think one thing that is very valuable, as a human being, is the relationships that you have. And I don't know how many of us, set social goals. So I'm really glad you brought that up, Ropa, and hoping maybe you can give me more tips or explore further into those topics, I guess, when I hand over to you. So what I wanted to talk about goals is I don't think I'm unique in this regard. I tend to have ambitious goals. So I tend to have a lot of goals, but there's a theory out there, and it's not a complicated one. But if you're juggling too many balls, at some point, some are going to drop, right? And so my background right now is working in a department where we do quality improvement in terms of the work that we do. And an acronym that we explore when we're setting goals is called SMART. And I think most people might know it. So the SMART acronym stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, as well as time-bound. And there is an extension, some call it the SMARTER goal. And in that regard, I think you also have an evaluation component of your goal. So when it comes to this acronym, I guess when you set a goal, it needs to be specific, right? You might say, okay, I want to start reading more. That's well and good. But if you don't have a specific amount of books you want to read, you don't have a specific time frame in which you want to achieve having read those books, which means that you don't have a measurable component. And if you also say, I want to read books, your goal is not very achievable. So let's say you say, okay, for 2022, I want to read more books. So first of all, you need to be specific in terms of how many books. And then in terms of the measurable amount of time, you have to say, well, I want to read so many books in a month or in a week or in a year. And when it comes to being achievable, is it really realistic to say, I want to read, 100 books a year if you're a mother with 2 kids, you have a full-time job, and you have other social responsibility? Probably not. And what ends up happening with that is that you won't achieve that goal and you'll become discouraged. In terms of reading books, it also has to be relevant. So I don't know if you know this book, Ropa, but we have a mutual friend who really likes, is it Ulysses Gold? The Iliad, Homer, the Iliad. Anyway, it's a really complicated book. It's a heavy book, and it's a book to have on your bookshelf if you want to impress, people who read a lot. But it's not a book that you'd put with 100 books because it's a really heavy book. So then in that case, it will be hard to achieve your goals. And it has to be time bound, like you're saying, like I was saying. So to sum it up, if you say you want to read more, you need to say how many books you want to read. You need to state the time frame in which you want to achieve reading those books. And your goal needs to be achievable. it needs to be relevant, it needs to make sense. And also you have to have a time period, like a year or a month. So that's my take on it in terms of using the SMART acronym.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if you felt comfortable, because I really like that angle that you brought up, the spiritual and social goals, or do you want to talk about something completely different regarding achieving goals?
I can elaborate just for those people that want more information on how I do it. But then it's different from person to person. If as long as you have those five areas that cover everything in life. I don't know if there's another one. I'm trying to think if there's a sixth one, but for now I set goals for, you know, the five elements in my life, right? So for physical, I look at what do I want to achieve. And like Carnation said, you're specific, right? You give yourself specifics. But initially, when you're starting to set the goals, you have to write down everything that you want to get taken care of physically, right? And then you can pick one that you can, you know, do for the next 6 months or for the next whatever. Because when you can work on your physical, mental, financial, social, and spiritual all at the same time. For example, you can go to the gym every single day, right? And then you can also read a book every single day, even though you go to the gym every single day. That's your mentor, right? And then financially, you can make better decisions. You can make, you can choose better financially. And socially, you can, you can make new friends, communicate in a way that's, coherent, and, in a better manner than you do. That's like social. Spiritual, you can meditate on a daily, you can practice your gratitude sessions, you can, have a closer walk with God, depending on, what your religious inclination is. And you can do all this at the same time. You just have to pick one in each and every section, so you can work on it every single day, type of thing, right? So for physical, I look at body, I look at appearance, so that's basically dress and makeup, and then I look at the way I see it or the way I comport myself, right? I can add on to it, but that's what I'm looking at physically right now, right? And then mentally, I look at knowledge, I look at mental health. What's going to give me, mental health? What's going to keep me centered in my mental psyche? And knowledge is like, acquiring knowledge, growing, investing in yourself, maybe school or reading books, like Carnation said. Financially, I look at increasing my income. How do I increase my income? Do I work hard so I can get that promotion? What does that look like? Multiple streams of income. How do I get more streams of income coming in, as opposed to just depending on the one income? Retirement plan. It's never too early to set up a retirement plan, and you can do that while you are increasing your income and while you are also, looking at streams of income. Anything else, there's anything else that you need that requires money. So within the financial, that's where you have like your car, your couch, or whatever that you want to get, that it lends in there. Social, you're looking at making friends. If you're terrible at making friends, you got to figure out, how do I work on it? Relationships, excursions, vacation destinations. That's all social in my book. Then you've got your spiritual, and you want to kind of figure out how to center and how to balance spiritually, and how to nourish your soul. So that's that. So for those that were taking notes, that's how I break things down. But in those, like body, then I also break it down even more. What do I want to work on my body? Do I want to work on, I don't know, endurance? Do I want to work on this and that? So there's that, but then you have to be specific. Like you're saying, you have to be able to measure it. It has to be reasonable. There's nothing wrong with dreaming big. In fact, you have to dream big, because the bigger your dream, the more you're gonna fight for it. But at the same time, it depends on who's dreaming, right? Because sometimes for some people, they just kind of content with just being able to set the immediate goals and not setting the long-term goals. With your physical, all these five elements, you can actually set a yearly goal, and then you can also set a 5-year goal. Why you would want to set a 5-year goal is so that your yearly goal is supposed to connect into your 5-year goal. So let's say in 5 years, I want to have $10 million, right? So that means every single year, in order for me to be able to have $10 million, I can divvy it up. That means I have to make $2 million every single year in order to be able to save or make $2 million every single year in order to get to the 10 million. So you can have a yearly goal, an immediate short-term goal, and then that short-term kind of connects in with your long-term, but everything still has to be specific in that, and you still have to have timelines, so that at least that way you can look back at it and go like, okay, by this time I should be here, but I'm not. That means I need to work a little bit harder for the next quarter or for the next 6 months.
Okay. Interesting. So when you talked about, I guess, setting a plan for your goals, I guess I was in a meeting with a work colleague yesterday, and we were trying to develop a quality improvement framework. And I kind of had the end goal as a presentation of, okay, this is how we should measure it. And then he said something interesting to me that I think we can apply to life, that your goals can actually go in stages, or you go through cycles, right? So for instance, a common one, and I can say this one because I know what will happen come January, the first week of January or the month of January, like gyms are going to be, jam-packed. Like everyone is into that fitness, whatever goal. And it's only the diehard, I guess, or the ones who have a really foolproof plan who are going to last for a year or even 5 years. But in regards to that, what I wanted to say is sometimes your goal in terms of going to the gym might be, okay, you might start with just getting out of bed consistently at the same time for maybe about 2 weeks, right? Because maybe you want to go in the morning, but the morning is hard for you to get up, right? And then once you've nailed that, then you say, okay, I'm going to start going to the gym, but maybe I'll start with 2 days a week, right? That's achievable, because for someone maybe who hasn't been to the gym for a while, 5 days might not be achievable. And then you slowly build up. Sorry, you wanted to say something?
No, I was just going to say that would not work for me. But then that also goes to show that it's people are different, right? For me, if I'm in there, I'm in there, right? I can't be like, okay, 2 days a week, and then, okay, increase it to 3 days, increase it to whatever. I would rather kind of have a timetable so I can, schedule my time and just be like, okay, so I'm going to go 3 days a week, and these are the 3 days a week that I'm going to go for forever, or 4 days a week type of thing, or whatever. But then what I'm going to do in the gym, I would kind of build up to, like, the hardcore. I'll start off as a beginner, and then I'll kind of do the intermediate, and then I'll do the, the expert type of thing. But I have to set that in the beginning to go, okay, I'm doing 4 days a week, and that's my gym schedule. Else it'll fall by the wayside in 3 weeks. Yeah, well, but then people are different, right?
I think people are different. Yeah, that's why I was giving that example. And also, we talked about sustainability, because some people might say, well, you know what, I want to go gung-ho and I'll go 5 days a week, but
Yep.
within 2 months, they're not going, right? So I think for some people, it's easing into it slowly. You can't
Yeah.
move from not going to the gym, and then all of a sudden you're going into it gung-ho. The sustainability, I doubt if it's permanent, right? So
I think, well, I guess maybe it's
so maybe
technicalities, right? But
yeah.
I was gonna say, there's so many factors that would cause a person to stop going. Mostly it's because they're trying to see the results in 2 days, 6 months results, that 6 things that would take 6 months. They want to see it in 2 days, and they don't have the patience for it, and probably they don't have the goals set where they can be like, okay, this is a reasonable goal. I should be losing or gaining muscle, whatever it is, at such a rate every week. And if you're not seeing that progress on a weekly basis, or on a, that's where people go, okay, I'm done. But then if you go there going, okay, whatever happens, happens. The main thing that I want to do is to just get health, to be healthy, right? Even though my goal, you still have your goals to go like, okay, my goal is to gain, I don't know, 2 pounds of muscle, or lose 3 pounds a day type of thing. Not 3 pounds a day, but 3 pounds a week, right? So even if you don't lose the 3 pounds, okay, every single week I have to do cardio, or I have to do things that I love until I can actually build up that endurance for something else. I think people, like you're saying, they go gung-ho in terms of, if you get to the gym, now you want to pick up the 10-pound weights. Well, you're not at a 10-pound level yet. You're still at maybe 3 pounds or 2 pounds. Pick up the 3 pounds until you get yourself to that point. I'm just speaking for people like me who would like their full schedule of going to the gym, 4 days a week or 5 days a week. But when I go to the gym, I will pick up my 2 pounds until I'm able to pick up the 5 pounds, and so on and so on. But when people go, they want to pick up the 10 and the 15. So at the end of the day, they give up.
Yeah. Well, it's different. I mean, for some people, I know going to the gym is not so much. They don't give up going to the gym because they're not getting the results they want. For some people, it's just getting to the gym is hard. It's hard based on their schedule. And I think if we look at the demographics in terms of, like we're women at different stages in our life. I know, for instance, those who have kids, it's your schedule, your time is not really your own, right? So you might say, okay, I want to start, maybe let's move away from going to the gym. I don't think that's everyone's goal. You might say, oh, well, you know what? I want to have a bubble bath every night or whatever, that's my goal in terms of winding down. Sometimes a child might get sick, sometimes, I don't know, things happen. So from my own experience, and I think our own experience should not be a cookie cutter method for everyone, because people's lives are different. I just find when you're introducing something new, you're likely to stick with it if you slowly introduce it until you get to a point where you want to reach. So that's my take on goals. So I guess one thing I wanted to talk about, because goals in a way, touch into, well, we don't do stuff for people. I think by the time you reach a certain age, you're kind of the master of your own life. But I'm wondering if you're likely to stick with the goal, or rather, what's your opinion on having an accountability partner in terms of establishing a goal and sticking with it?
I don't like those. Only because I think a person should be accountable to themselves. Even if you have an accountable partner, if you're not sold on it, you're not sold on it. That partner is going to have to fight and scratch and whatever in order for you to get something done that, a goal that you set for yourself that you've decided not to do. It doesn't make sense to me. I think if you set goals and you're accountable to yourself, then you're most likely you're gonna be able to achieve it. But on the other end, there are people that need workout buddy or a partner, somebody to be accountable to, right? That's why it's not a cookie cutter type of thing. For me, it doesn't work because in the past, you get people hindering your life and asking you all these questions that you just kind of like, really, why are you asking me all these questions? I'm a grown woman. Don't ask me if I'm trying to give an example of what it is. Like, let's say if you've got goals to read or whatever, right? And somebody's like, oh, did you read your book? How many pages did you read? You're slacking off. You better, and for someone else, that's amazing because that kind of reminds them, okay, I need to read my book. I need to this and that or whatever. For me, because I naturally will do it if I decide this is what I'm gonna do. I naturally will do it. So by the time someone is asking me, I've already done it, and I kind of feel like, don't bug me. But then there are other things that do I do get people to that I do get people so I'm accountable. Like, let's say in business and I have a mentor, things like that, because I'm entering a situation where I don't understand and I've never been, and this mentor has already been, and they're kind of guiding me through. That's where I'm like, okay, I need a mentor. I need somebody I can be accountable to. But when it comes to things that I know I need to wake up and I need to, do 5 sit-ups or whatever it is, I don't know. It's not for me. But I'm saying this knowing fully well that there are people that need that.
Mm-hmm. Well, what I was going to say, yeah, you're right. It works for some people. But I think if you're making a major change in your life, there's something to be said about keeping your cards close to your chest, right? Like your goals should be private, especially if you're making life-changing, or if you've come up with a goal that's life-altering that, your social circle might not support. I'm thinking, for instance, someone who struggles with alcohol, right? Typically, not all the time, but when you're a drinker, sometimes you like to hang out with people with kind of the same lifestyle. Or maybe you're someone who is in a high-flying type of crowd where people like to spend money on frivolous things. If you decide, well, you know what, I want to change and I want to save more money, or you decide, you know what, this drinking lifestyle is not serving me well anymore, you don't necessarily want to tell people who are not going to support you. So I think at times it's good to keep certain things close to your chest as you work through them. That way, like Ropa is saying, you're accountable to only yourself, and you have less interference and less negative voices as you're working on those goals for yourself.
Yeah, and no one gets to discourage you. And I find a lot of times, especially when you've been trying to get something done for the longest time and you keep failing, and you tell people, this is what's happening, then they can ask you, okay, you said you're gonna lose 10 pounds in 6 months. What happened? So now you've told these people that you're going to lose 10 pounds in 6 months. And then in 6 months, now you have to explain yourself to these people that, oh, you know what? I wasn't able to make it because this and that. I was so stressed out, blah, blah, blah. Set that goal for yourself. If you see that, okay, I've not been meeting these goals, set it for yourself, and then maybe talk about it when people start seeing the results. And then people are like, oh, you look different. Yeah, well, I've just been eating healthy. And that's it. You don't have to give out all your cards, because there are certain people that like keeping tabs on people. I don't know it's something that I can't understand. And I hope I never do understand it, because someone wants to keep tabs on another person, and they, appoint themselves the the supervisor of your life or of your goal, and now they're asking you every single day, they're bugging you about it every single day, and then because somebody's asking you about it and maybe just one day you did not see the results, you get discouraged right away. So sometimes, yeah, like you're saying, I totally agree. There's certain things you really, really have to keep to yourself, and just let the people see the results after.
So if you're having too many voices or interference when you're trying to achieve your goals, perhaps you should reevaluate your social goal and find a way to eliminate those people from your life, because
But the thing is, they're not bad people.
Well, let me finish. What I'm trying to say though is, I think for me, I started thinking about how do I say this? I think the social goal really got to me. I can't think of anyone who's toxic in my life right now, but I know that I almost entered a friendship that I was genuinely, happy, to have this person slowly introduce them into my life. But without them even knowing what my life goals are, what my priorities are, or where I'm going, I sensed a certain level of competition, which didn't make sense to me, because we were in completely different circles with completely different visions of our life. And so I knew that, or maybe I've done a social goal. I knew that this person was never going to be elevated to friend. They were just going to be someone that I see casually. Mm-hmm. And actually, they even fell off the casual list, because even within that casual, whatever sphere, I could sense the negative energy. So I don't know where I was going with this.
You were saying kick them out of your life.
Yeah, or, give them maybe a backseat. Like when you go to a concert, man, we haven't been to concerts for a really long time, or you go and watch a Broadway show, right?
Yeah.
Those really optimum seats, and they're the front seats where you get to see everything really well. And then they're the ones right at the back there, right? So I think in terms of, social goals, people who don't mean well for you, they should be right at the back.
Yeah. I mean, if they're not toxic, let's say they're not toxic overall, it's okay to categorize, right? Where this person is good for going out. They're kind of like my going out friend. And then this person is someone I can sit down and talk about something really, really serious, or something that's like really dear to my heart type of thing, or whatever. And then sometimes even within that, you also have people who don't see your vision. It doesn't mean they're bad, right? They're not bad people. They just don't see what you're trying to do, and they will discourage you. But you have to do one thing at a time. You have to, just set up one goal. I don't understand why you're setting all these goals, but if you're setting goals in the different elements, you can do them all at once, right? You don't have to wait until you're mentally okay to start working out. You don't have to wait until you I don't know, a chipmunk. What is that? The Chippendale buff, big bodied men.
Oh, they're called Chippendales? Okay.
You don't know what? No, I don't know. Maybe they call Chippendale, where I think they're like, big buff, heavy muscled guys that you find in Vegas. But anyway, so you don't have to be. I've been around people. Okay, I've been around. So you don't have to be, those big buff guys to be able to work on your social, your spiritual, right? But then sometimes if somebody doesn't understand your financial goals, they'll probably will challenge you on it, but doesn't mean that they're a bad person. It just means that for that specific goal, they don't need to know, because they're going to discourage you. They're going to stop you from being able to go there. Because sometimes friends have a way of, either encouraging or discouraging. And sometimes because we trust so much, we can let go of a long time dream because somebody said it's not going to work, right? Because somebody didn't believe in it. So if you believe in it fiercely, protect it fiercely as well.
Okay. Yeah, I love that. And well, now I was listening, but I was just trying to imagine a Chippendale guy, or maybe I should go to Vegas and see it myself.
Oh, Google and Chippendale.
But you know what
I don't even know if that's the correct word, but anyway, Chippendale.
I'm sure someone will correct us. You know what I was also thinking when you were talking about life, you know, perhaps this is something that I will close off with. We need to have goals, because if we don't have goals, then we're just floating in the wind, right? Like, if you don't, because it's like you don't have a plan for your life, right? So if you're essentially, what ends up happening is you're just getting by.
Mm-hmm.
I think goals also give us something to look forward to, right? If you say, okay, you know what, I've had this couch for 5 years and it's time for it to go. I don't have the money, but if I put aside like, $40 a month, I found a couch that's reasonable that I can buy for $300. It's achievable if you put money aside, but it also makes life exciting because you're working towards something. So Ropa's goals don't have to be mine, but I still need to have goals, all right? And I think it just makes life more meaningful, and it makes life more exciting. Because I'm even thinking, even in a relationship, as a couple, you also need to have mutual goals, right? What you're working towards in terms of your relationship itself. If you're a couple with kids, if you're a couple, I don't know, with bigger goals or business goals, it just makes life more exciting and worthwhile when we have goals or things that we're working towards. I don't know if this is the right place to mention this, but there's this guy called Benjamin Zulu. He's a Kenyan psychologist. He said something that really stuck in my mind. And he said that what keeps relationships exciting, and I think I can translate it to life as well, is having a project that you're working on. Because then you're constantly looking forward to it and you're constantly working together towards it. But when it's your personal goals, you're constantly looking forward to them. And, it's nice to be able to check something off. I don't know if I'm the only one who gets gratification to say, okay, this one is checked, next. It's done. Right? Yeah. So that's kind of my take on it in terms of,
Oh yeah. And I always find, for me, I'll always ask, so what's the plan? What's the goal? Like, let's say, in my past where I had relationships that were where the guy had no vision. There's no vision, there's no goal. You're not going anywhere in life. You're just aimlessly, you're just there, and my whole thing is like, okay, then what? What are we doing? Where are we going? What should we work on? What should we? And then you hear somebody going, well, why can't we just be? You're asking too many questions. Why can't we just, just see where it goes? See what goes. You're wasting my time.
It's not going anywhere if you hear that.
It's not going. You have no plan. You have no vision. Get that out of the way. Let somebody else with a plan and a vision, step in. Right now, I'm very happy, with the way my life is and the relationships that I have and all that good stuff. Because, there's vision, there's growth, there's, understanding and all that. But I remember back in the day, it was so frustrating. Just hearing somebody goes, let's see how it goes. Let's just be. Why can't we just have fun? Really?
Well, actually, you know what? Yeah, I can relate to that, and I wanted to piggyback on relationships, at the end of this day, this channel is called The Sisters Back. And I think even among friends, you need to have goals, right?
Yeah.
For instance, and I'm saying this out on a forum, so Ropa, you have to come through. You know, Ropa and I decided that we're going to go on a road trip to Vancouver in the summer, right? Yes. Don't frown. You were there. I probably have a voice note
In my
recorded.
head, I'm like,
Yeah.
no, yes, we did say that.
Yeah, we did say that, right?
We did say that. I think it was the next time I come out there, we were gonna take a road trip to Vancouver because I've never been to Vancouver.
Yeah, she's never been to Vancouver.
And I think we were gonna check things out over there. Did we say we were gonna pass by Penticton?
Oh, Penticton is in another direction. Oh, we'd gone to Penticton in search of these really nice donuts.
Oh, yeah.
But
Okay.
yeah, no, we might go to Vancouver. I don't know if they're Chippendales in Vancouver, but yeah, you know, that's a goal that's set among friends, right? And, you know,
Yeah.
even as friends, you might say, oh, you know what, we're setting a goal where, you know, we're going to maybe buy less, you know, expensive handbags. I don't know if it's your thing, you know. I think it's, you know, relationships, sometimes maybe we might just focus on a romantic relationship, which is important. And I think it really influences.
Oh yeah, it's important. It's important to be with someone with a vision, somebody who knows where they're going, and then someone you can marry your vision with. Because if your vision and his vision are worlds apart, then you know that needs to be looked at. But anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
causes
off.
frustration, and yeah, it can cause conflict in a relationship. You know, and for me, that's important. You know, romantic relationships are important to me. There's something that I was told in my early, like about 10 years ago, by someone that I consider my Canadian mother, and she says, you need to work to keep your friendships, especially as you get older, because it's harder to make friends. And most importantly, it's harder to have good quality friends. And so those relationships need to be nurtured. And so, you know, when we talked about a lot of things today, but two things that really stuck in my mind, because maybe I haven't put enough time into it or thought into it, are having spiritual and social goals. You know, that's essential. That's key. You know, that's foundational. And right now, you know, once we close off here, I'm actually going to start thinking of what I want to do in 2022 in terms of, you know, the social aspect of me, as well as the spiritual aspect, in order for me to grow more in those areas.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it's crazy because I remember when I was young, I never thought about these, like the social, the spiritual, the, you know, the mental or whatever. It was more, you know, we're just going through life and just figuring things out. But now as I'm older, I'm more purposeful. I now move more with purpose. I know I need to do a bit more refining of that, but everything now, it's like, okay, there's a goal attached to everything, and it's easier to, you know, it's easier to work on things, or it's easier to keep yourself engaged when you have goals and you have timelines, as opposed to you're just walking through life. Let's say you get extra money and you have no goals, it's going to be gone and you don't even know where your money went, right? So having goals is very important. And not only when you're talking about social, I was just thinking about the friends I used to have back in the day that were very, very toxic. Oh my God, very, very toxic. And it took me a really, really long time to, you know, get rid of all of the toxicness, or all of the toxic friends. And now I am the happiest I've ever been. And I realized that I used to deal with a lot of things that I didn't even need to deal with. But I dealt with them because, oh, this is my friend. And my friend did this that was very selfish. And that ended up, you know, affecting me and ended up, you know, ruining my day or ruining my month or whatever it is. But we tend to forgive that because they're our friends, right? But then if they're toxic, no matter how much you love this person, if they're toxic and they're not going to change, let them go, or minimize the time that you get to spend with this person so that at least you can bring some happiness and some joy in your life, right? So that could be one of your, like, social goals. Get rid of the toxic friends and bring in more of the good people, the ones that have, your best interests at heart.
That's great. Yeah,
Assuming
that's
you're
great.
not toxic yourself.
Yeah, that's great. Any closing words? Is it words of wisdom to close, or closing words of wisdom?
Closing words. Okay, so setting goals will help you stay focused. So, set up the goals, and if you are the type of person who can't multitask in terms of, doing all the physical, mental, financial, maybe just pick one and work on it until you refine it, until it's like the same, it's just the same as breathing. Then you can, add something else, and then you're already kind of like subconsciously or naturally doing something, um, you know, every single day without thinking about it. So yeah, set goals, make sure you have timelines, make sure you keep yourself accountable. And like we said in the previous episodes, for those that are diehards, if you've been following us, you need to keep the promises that you make to yourself. Goals are also promises as well. So keep those promises and make sure you see them through. Fight for them because you're fighting for yourself.
Yeah, that's great. My closing words are, I think I've said closing 3 times in terms of my closing words, but these are my final
closing words.
Closing words. If you can remember that acronym, you can look it up. There are different versions of it. So make sure that your goals are SMART. For me, spiritual and social. I think you probably noticed that those made a really strong impression for me. I think just based on the times that we're living, we're coming close to the end of the year. Nurture your relationships, make that a goal to nurture whatever relationships you have in your life, and feed your soul in whatever way you feel comfortable in, because and also at the end of the day, without goals, we're just floating about, and life
aimlessly.
is exciting aimlessly. Yeah. So that's my closing words. And with that, thank you, ladies, for joining us today. And we will see you. It's actually, are we going to see them next year, Robert? Yes.
Next year.
Yes. So
see you in 2022. Happy New Year, Merry Christmas. Go out there, enjoy with friends, family, and save some for next year. Like, share, and we will see you next year. Bye.
Bye.